Zain's on the show with us now. What are you saying, Zain?
Hey, all right, guys. Well, I'm gonna be shameless. It's coming true, man. What I'm talking about. So, first of all, Alan, why are you being so salty, man? Because the game we controlled it. We done a professional performance in the first half, 2-0. They gave us a goal, and what? I'm not going to cry about it. And then we just held back. There was a moment in the game where Salah and Harvey Elliott, or whatever, were just passing the ball to each other for 4 times. Do you know what I mean? We're clearly just resting. And let me explain why we were doing that, because people keep complaining. I say things, but I don't justify why. The reason why we were controlling and just taking our foot off the gas in the second half and playing out the game is we're tired. We've got no real players in midfield. So as much energy we can conserve and still get the result, we will do. Because as I keep saying, and Roms, I know you've been quite negative about the season, but I still think we've got a good chance at winning the Champions League. Look, we've qualified. We beat a really strong Napoli. You know, they're one of the informed teams in Europe, and we beat them and handled them professionally, right? So my thinking behind all of this and saying that we're going to win something, we're going to get top 4. I'm telling you it now as well. We are going to get top 4. Well, let me finish it. Why though? Let me say why, and then you can come in.
Focus on beating Southampton first before you start.
No. Let me explain why. Right. So
not in a forest.
The World Cup is coming, and a classic point, right? Roms and Rams just said, "Oh, Robertson's playing so much better now. He's had a rest. He's had a break." So guess what? When you're tired and you don't get a break and get mental fatigue, guess what? Your form dips. Is it a reason why Salah, after playing a full season last season where we were 2 games away from winning the quad, the African Cup of Nations where they got to the final, so they played all those games, and then also the World Cup qualifiers, is it not a reason why potentially at the start of the season that's what's affected his form, and now he's finally had a chance to recuperate to a point where you're now starting to see Mo Salah again? And let's not forget, he's not going to the World Cup. So he's going to have 6 weeks off, rest and recoup. My God, how good is he going to be second half of the season?
You're going to win the Champions League.
We're going to get top 4. Facts.
And win the Champions League.
One thing I'll say, Zain,
good chance for the Champions League. Good chance for the Champions League. Look, how can you discount us in
You just lost, not in a forest, babe. I think
but anyone has
if you get a run going in the Premier League,
Zain, that's what it comes down to, mate. Like, once I see some consistency, I can start being optimistic like yourself. But Zain, we've seen after the City game, right? I came on Terrace and I even said, I think we can get top 4. I was very emotionally invested in the moment. It's the champions elect, and we just beat them. Everyone was predicting us to lose. What do we then do? We don't have a convincing performance against West Ham, albeit we got the result. Then we have back-to-back losses to the 19th and 20th place. That you can't really be optimistic if you're not seeing consistent.
Let me explain
result.
that to you. Right? You know the 2021 season, right? Where basically had all those horrific injuries. Everyone's where's title contenders? That's it. You're done. You're at the top 4. Guess what happened when all our players came back and we got our rhythm going? We won 8 out of the last 10 games. Went 10 games undefeated, and we actually got 3rd place. Chelsea bottled 3rd place. Now, that was just a couple of seasons ago. We're going through something similar now. We're getting key injuries to key players. So, based on just 2 seasons ago, why would people not think it's credible to say, actually, after the World Cup, they'll get a break, they'll refocus, and then they'll push on and get top 4?
So Zain, I think the reason people are saying it isn't feasible is because you've got your main players in, and they are underperforming. And so this isn't
not there.
Sorry?
Diaz and Jota are not playing.
Just to add to that.
But Jota and Diaz are not going to stop your midfield being run through and your defenders from making mistakes and leaking opportunities. And by the way, when you had all those injuries, your problem wasn't the injuries. Your problem was Jurgen Klopp. He played your CMs in defense. And then your midfield was being run through. As soon as he put your midfield back in, the likes of Nate Phillips and who played alongside him regularly, it was Kabak.
Kabak, yeah.
The reason that they were protected by then are still a very, very good midfield. You don't have that very good midfield anymore in terms of protecting your back line. And your defenders are a few years older. So they can rest all they want, but you were fully fresh at the beginning of the season. and you were getting ripped open by Fulham, ripped open by Palace, ripped open by Man United. Come on now.
That's a bit disingenuous because fully fresh when we were 2 games away from winning the quad. So that's a very...
What do you mean fully fresh? Hang on. What do you mean? Listen, you had as much rest. You had as much rest as everybody else in the summer. You're a better team than everybody else. And to turn around and say, just because you nearly won a quad, you didn't have the energy. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Let me finish. To say that you didn't have the energy or legs at the start of the season to outrun Fulham and Crystal Palace because you nearly won a quad, that's the disingenuous element. You just got destroyed, bruv. You just can't admit you were wrong.
Answer this question.
Be a man and admit you were wrong, Zain.
Answer this question, Terry.
Be a man.
This question. If a sweet streeper needs a break for holiday and the CEO needs a thing from the holiday, right? Clearly, the CEO needs a lot more time to de-stress than a street sweeper. So there's different levels in teams, bro. We're like,
so based on your point, right? Based on your point, but I still think even unrested, the CEO would have a better understanding of business than the street sweeper, generally speaking, as a general rule, right? No. Your guys are so much better than Fulham and Palace on paper that you not having as much an extra 2 weeks rest in the summer isn't a good enough excuse. And I'll tell you why it isn't a good enough excuse, because that form has still followed you right through till now. You are off your rocker, son. You're just fading.
Okay,
and it's right, by the way. Go on.
Right, one final point, right? The reason why I'm so confident in our team's ability, right, is when Tottenham scored that goal, the stadium erupted. It was like a cauldron, right? So it was very intense and loud, right? But regardless of all that, we held our nerve, and then Klopp made the right tactical decision and put in Gomez and go to a back 5 because they kept switching it, and we were too slow to stop that switch and close down the cross. So that is what I'm going on. It's the fact that these guys have hardened battle veterans.
But Zain, it's not been consistent.
They will rise to the occasion. So and that's what I thought today.
Hang on a minute. Sorry. Last year, a year younger, and with Mane, you said this team was a cup team and probably won't win much. Suddenly, let me finish talking. A year later, a year older, with lots of players underperforming, no Mane, midfield, polo midfield, no centre, and suddenly you're going to come all guns blazing. Your logic is so warped. The only way you come back this season is buying well in January. That is it, Zain. That is it. Zain, listen, thank you very much for coming on, mate, and having your say. I really...
Cup team last year, I got it right. And again, I'm saying we're going to potentially win Champions League, but definitely get top 4. Let's see at the end of the season, Terry, and you can then ask me, oh, how did you predict and go?
Yeah, I think you can make the top 4 if you invest in January. Yes, but it isn't going to be resting because of the World Cup. If you don't buy in January, you ain't making the top 4.
Yeah, it's just simple as that.
So the players are not going World Cup like Robertson, Salah. I'm not sure if Nunes is going because there's a Uruguay there, but I'm not sure if he's going to be in the squad. But
listen, bro, you take care, Zain. All the best, mate. I appreciate you coming on and having your say. Top man. The CEO and the road sweeper. By the way, I'm not saying road sweepers don't understand business. I'm saying
outside just thinking, I just caught straight for no reason.
Well, I just mean it. Yeah, generally speaking, if you're writing a business plan, who would you ask for help? The CEO of a business, but the point is, I didn't understand that. Like, does the CEO need a longer holiday?
What he needs to understand, the players aren't as industrious. They're getting a bit older. They can't run how they ran 2 years ago. It's as simple as that. Like you said, we need to. I don't believe currently we can get top 4 off our performances. We're too inconsistent. But if we were to invest, even one's not even enough now. Just 2 more midfielders.
No,
I think we can get it, but we won't. So therefore, I don't think we'll get top 4.